Teepin here. What if I told you that with one weird trick, I can make you levitate? Now, I'm not talking about the type of levitation that magicians do or with a hoverboard, but would you believe that you are already levitating? So, one day I asked myself, why don't I fall through that chair I was just sitting in, or the floor I'm standing on? It actually has to do with interactions at the atomic level. It's pretty cool. So, atoms can't go through one another, but why not? And here's why. In a previous video, I discussed Coulombs Law and the opposing forces on like charges. For this same reason, when the atoms of your leg come in contact with your chair, an opposing force is created. As a result, there is always a thin space between your leg and the chair, meaning that you are always levitating. Now let's take our ball of charge and stretch it into a line. If we take a look at the electric field, you'll notice that most of the lines are straight and every corner or edge has a curve. This is one way that scientists help maintain a constant electric field. So let's take our line of charge and go ahead and turn it into a disk. We see that if we take this disk and draw out the electric field lines, that the lines are mostly constant and straight with the only curves happening around the edges. Now, a man by the name of Johann Carl Friedrich Gauss was a German mathematician born in 1777. He was a very religious man. For every problem he solved, he hardly gave himself credit, rather said it was by the grace of the Lord. One day, Johann Gauss wondered, how much light is emitted from a light bulb? And to do this, he did it in a very mathematician style by coming up with this weird imaginary surface around the light bulb. And he used that surface to literally count the photons that came from the light bulb. Now, instead of a light bulb, what if we decided to do this with charge? We know from earlier that charge emits electric field. So let's draw an imaginary surface around this charge here and see if we can count the electric field lines that go through it. According to Gauss's law, the amount of electric field that passes through the surface area of our imaginary surface is equal to the amount of charge within the surface divided by a constant. The trick with Gauss's law is to try to imagine a surface that has electric field lines perpendicular to the surface at all times. Now let's take a look at that disk we made earlier and draw the same Gaussian surface as before. Notice this is not a very good Gaussian surface because the angle alpha is not 90 degrees. However, it would be more appropriate to use a Gaussian surface like a cylinder per se, where the sides are not even going through the surface and the only flux is through the front, where the angle is 90 degrees at all times. This will even work for any shape like a square. And yes, even a star. Any shape that you can calculate the area and where the electric field is always perpendicular to the surface. If we take the bar we made earlier and stretch it into an infinite line of charge, we see that the electric field is constant all around. Now for the infinite line of charge, how would you try to guess the electric field? Guess a Gaussian surface and leave it in the comments below. My name is Teepin, and feel free to check me out on Facebook or subscribe to my channel. Peace out.